Now talk about determination, man. We've been through this, what, 4 times now? 4 times, man. Yeah. See, this is why I don't stream at 6. The sounds of fire trucks and patrol cars echoed through the streets. The sky was dark, the air stale, and the many strong cold gusts of wind bore mass amounts of dust and debris. I didn't envy the reporter her job, as she seemed mere moments from being blown off her feet. But, to her credit, she persevered. Behind her, there was the black shadow of an old man. The old man's shadow in the background began acting strangely, jumping in place and making various other aimless motions.
"昨晩より全国各地で発生している巨大な黒い柱による出現被害につきまして、国土交通省は非常態勢の災害対策本部および警戒本部を設置しました。各地方整備局管内の情報に基づく交通・河川の被災状況および対策状況は次の通りです。
柱の成分は専門家の分析でも解析不明の未知の鉱物の結晶のようで、エンティティウォール、霊体物質と名付けられています。地震計などでも全く予測のつかない場所に突如生えてくるため、多数の死傷者を出し、世間を混乱に陥れています。工事用カッターの刃も通らず、撤去もできない状況です。防衛庁は自衛隊の調査結果などから先日まで上空に浮かんでいた黒い球体との関連を調査しています。
新しい避難場所の情報です。避難指示の出た地域にお住まいの方は以下の情報をチェックしてください。携帯サイト、ウェブサイトでも情報を発信しております。なお、ご覧の白い地域にある体育館や学校はすでに満員です。お近くの空きのある施設へ向かってください。
っていうか、前兆も速報もなくいきなり生えてくるんだ。避難も対策もねえんだよ。運が悪けりゃ死ぬだけだ。なんで警察はいつまでも公式発表してないんだよ。編集不祥事と取られるのが嫌なのか、それとも何か隠してるのか。
The middle-aged announcer was yelling at the top of his lungs, and in an absolute frenzy, he kicked the studio desk to the ground. A black shadow of a woman could be seen behind him. Man, why's it gotta be black? Why can't it be white? Why can't it be yellow? What about blue? Like her hair. It could be any other color, man. This game's racist. Not really. I'm just messing with you. See? They look perfectly fine to me. Just your average, everyday colors. Oh, fine. All right. You know, we could have been progressive. We could have been the game and the stream to push this game past the stereotypes. But now, Now every shadow is black.
持田も中島も岸沼も
たくさん。
死んじゃったね。
あれ、私たちも。
生き返ってないよ。
あゆみちゃん。
何がしたかったの？
Sam, please. It was just a dream. I was at home, watching TV. I scrunched myself up again, putting my face to my knees.
生き返るって信じてたのに最初からダメだった。そうよ。私は全部意味のないことをしてたんだ。私どうすればいいの？生き返るって思ったから吉江の家まで行って大怪我をしてお姉ちゃんまで失って帰ってきたのに。
I raised my face from my knees, eyes red and burning. Then, as if I haven't already rehearsed this enough, this is my 4th time, I heard a loud crash just outside my house. It was unmistakably a car wreck, and a rather severe one at that. Don't worry. Spoilers, he's alive. The car's alarm was going off, but I was trying my best to ignore it. I didn't need this right now, so I simply wasn't going to bother with it. You know, I should order pizza. Because it's going to be a very long night. I should definitely order pizza. But what if the pizza guy crashes into my house? What am I going to do about that? I mean, I can pay for the pizza, but is he going to pay for the crash?
次のニュースです。公益財団法人 PL 振興社の会長が失踪しました。
Man, she looks pretty pissed off. The car alarm outside was still going off, and it was getting harder and harder to ignore it by the second. Man, this guy one gets paid. Yo, real talk, if you're here for delivery and you ring my doorbell more than twice, I'm not giving you a tip. Whoever was ringing my doorbell was really, really persistent. The irregular sound brought me back to reality. I crept over to the peephole and silently looked through it to see who would be visiting me at this hour. On the other side of the door stood a man I didn't recognize. He had short hair and he was pressing the chime frantically, as if his life depended on it. You know, you have a good point. I don't know why, but wherever they go, they're always wearing their school uniforms. It's kind of awkward, isn't it? I mean, what, do you only have one? Or do you have multiple? They could have multiple school uniforms, and that would be fine. But if they're always wearing the same pair of clothing, you know, you've been to hell and back. You could at least wash your clothes. If we're talking about, like, potential diseases that can come back, I mean, you've been around a lot of dead bodies, you know. You don't know what's been on those clothes. The persistent ringing continued for a bit, but then finally, thankfully, came to an abrupt halt. Oh yes, I love the smell of corpses in the morning. How about you? It's my favorite smell. The man was still there. He was just pacing back and forth in place, in front of a house that, for all he knew, had no occupants. After another short while, he approached the door again, and immediately put his eye right up to the outside of the peephole. The man moved his head away, but quickly replaced it with his finger, which he swirled around and around inside a tight space, as if trying to reach my eye, or poke it out. Then, he stepped away from the door. I could have taken this opportunity to slowly move away from the peephole, but I was oddly transfixed.
よかった。このまま帰ってくれれば。
Of course, the second I thought that, he came back to the door yet again. And yet again, he skipped the doorbell and went straight for the peephole.
なんなの？なんで何も言わないの？気持ち悪いな。もう開けて文句言っちゃう。
I grabbed the doorknob and was moments away from following through with that plan, when suddenly,
Ayumi?
Sachiko the friendly ghost magically appeared from behind me.
Sachiko?
I mean, the interesting thing is you're used to this now, you know? It's not like, oh man, what a surprise. That's a ghost floating behind my back. It's Sachiko, how are you doing?
ダメ、開けちゃう。
See? Not a problem. If a floating ghost appeared behind my back, I'd probably react a little differently.
スーツ死者だ。
Sachiko?
I slowly turned to look at her.
涅槃は死んだ人の世界。死後の世界がこっちに来る。
You know, I didn't order Chinese. Okay, so there was pizza and Chinese. I guess they got the wrong address. It has to, come on. Not trying to be racist or anything, but you guys can't drive. You get paid for that too. Delivery men who can't drive? What's with that? I'm not gonna tip, especially you because you crashed my house. But after only a few moments, the man's corpse disappeared, leaving nothing but a shadow of a pizza box on the wall and ground alike. A cheesy stain. That's, you know, that's the worst. Like when you drop food in the ground and you're kind of going like, you know, the 5-second rule, does it actually exist? Is it real? I don't know anymore. I gotta eat. I'm really hungry.
なんなの？世の中どうなってるの？
I mean, I don't cry about spilt milk, but I cry about food. Not that I even really had to ask.
涅槃の壁を壊したから。
I wasn't just asking myself, I was asking Sachiko, whose presence still remained just behind my back. I know. Could have been good food. I mean, we could have ordered anything. Thai. Delivery Mexican. Is that possible? Do people deliver Mexican food? That'd be kind of cool. Actually, I haven't had that before. What's that like?
死者真っ黒になって。
You know, if I just voiced every single bit of these dialogue, it would kind of make sense, actually. I mean, look at the faces. Look at her crossing her arms, going like, man, could have been anything. Well, what's that? No, it couldn't be. I pulled my smartphone from my pocket and forced myself to remain calm enough to access the photo, but then, just then, stopped and stared. The photo displayed on my phone, which was now on the floor, no longer had just my friends from before with blacked out faces, but Mochida, Nakashima, and Kishinuma as well. Well, Tears comes into chat and the very first thing you do is ban him. You guys make me very proud. I'm proud of all of you. I pounded the floor with both hands and shuddered violently.
悔い改めよ。世界は終わりに近づいている。 神は不浄なる心得者を。
Let me try. And every fighting game will have its DLC for free. And every anime will come in a Blu-ray box with tons of figurines. And every stream will have its own cute mascot. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad you love me. Vote for me. Vote for me. Some cultist group was speaking on TV. I guess the news must have ended at some point when I wasn't paying attention. This time, I was just plain talking to myself.
New data?
Tears? You haven't followed us in so long. What the? You know, just what I always wanted. My own portable, gothic, high school magical girl. I know, right? It was always my favorite dream. Marguerite appeared in my hallway. I had no idea how long she'd been there, nor how... Well, yeah, how did she get in? I noticed she still had her heels on, though. I stood up. And Sachiko was, as always, floating up. To demonstrate, Marguerite snapped the two together. I probably flinched, but she was right. Nothing happened. I'm sorry, Sam. I didn't have the time to extract the audio, but I can help you if you wanna. How's it go? Hugh! Sounds so stupid. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, New Face. Don't spread lies. She pulled back her chin and flashed me a strained smile. This day couldn't have been much worse for me. Marguerite wasn't mincing words, it seemed. I held my head in both hands and looked down at the ground. Marguerite approached me and grabbed my arm. Sachiko growled like a dog. Oh, well, there we go. I screamed as loudly and as fiercely as I could. I closed my eyes and cried the hardest I've ever cried, sobbing so intensely that I found myself nearly hyperventilating. Maguri slapped me down to... Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you don't have to narrate everything that we see in front of us. Like, what are you gonna say next? Maguri folded her arms and said a cuss word. Ayumi continued to cry. Sachiko was floating, still just looking at things instead of doing anything. Oh, actually, well, I mean, it's okay, but not exactly what we're seeing.
篠崎あゆみ、真実を一つ教えるわ。
Okay.
7番目の柱。知識のセフィラの軌道を止められなかった時点で、もう世界の終わりは動かない。だけど、
Huh. Okay. Sachiko growled again, but Maguri was clearly not intimidated in the slightest. Okay. Alright, hang on. Sachiko, I'm gonna give you... I'm gonna name you 3 things. Please tell me which one you find the most offensive. Okay, are you ready? Sachiko. Pizza with pineapples on top. Okay. How about sushi that's a day old? Wow, okay? You're okay with that? All right, last one. Are you ready? On disc DLC. There we go. There we go. That's my Sachiko.
まだ失われていない。あの本を手にした篠崎の血を引くあなたなら、ミストとまだ戦えるかもしれないわ。
I was still hesitating, and Maguri apparently didn't much like that.
ふざけやがって。
Suddenly, Maguri was pulling up the top of my unit. Why? My plump white stomach was now fully exposed.
クソったれの本はここにあるわ。
Okay, I put on... Wait, what? She pointed to a spot just below my belly button. I was gonna say I put on a little weight, but you don't have to point at it. As she did so, my stomach started growling with an earthly roar and shifted in place slightly. It was almost like there was a snake slithering around inside of me.
まったく、もっと早く気づけばよかったわ。篠崎義恵の家の地下で力を使ってから、そこに潜り込んで眠ってやがったのよ、そいつは。
Marguerite crossed her arms and snorted.
ただし、あくまで入れ物で、中身は空っぽだけどね。
That's quite a growl. We never noticed that before, really?
生意気にうなってやんの。
The growl that came from within my own body sounded like that of a wild beast.
まさか、本当に？ほんと、すっかり騙されたわ。私は本来、教団からあなたがあの空間でブックオブシャドウズを手に入れるためのサポート役。それと、その他雑用のために派遣されていたのよ。そうなの？って言っても、手に入れた瞬間、奪い取るつもりだったけどね。まあ、それも、今となってはどうでもいいわ。世界が壊れるのなら、教団の継承権もクソもないし。ミストよ。ミスト。あれで勝ったつもりでいるなんて、笑っちゃうわよね。
By any chance, did you guys ban tears out of existence? Isn't it kind of early to have someone die that quickly into a stream, guys? Tears, are you alive? If you are, respond. I guess that works.
そんなあいつを思いっきりなぶり殺してやりたいでしょ。
Oh my god. See, this is why we had Tears as a mod. Okay. Tears, you're a mod. Please don't do anything wrong with that mod.
あなたも甘ったれずにできることに目を向けなさい。可能性を放棄するのは死んだ後でいい。
My eyes began to well up yet again.
私にまだ何かできることがあるの？
Magari's expression turned deathly serious.
なんとしてもブックオブシャドウズを体の外に出して支配なさい。
Bantears
あなたの覚悟を認めれば自然と出てくるわ。
was a very old joke that spread far more than the reaches of finestko.
そして本の力があればミストのいる涅槃にもう一度乗り込む道も示されるでしょうよ。
No, I mean, let's be fair here. If you've been in and out of heavenly hosts as many times as these people have, a floating ghost is just something that's common. Excuse me. I could only stare incredulously at my abdomen. Marguerite took this opportunity to open the front door, again, to illustrate her point. Outside, the weather was still completely anomalous, with hurricane-like winds and debris clouds everywhere. I don't know. Oh, whatever. The clouds up above, too, were moving abnormally fast. A disconcerting blood-red sky. Every few seconds, a sound not unlike a spark plug firing could be heard echoing from the distance, as another black flame ignited and burned itself out in some random spot.
どのみちあなたも世界と共に滅びて死ぬわ。だったら見せてみなさい。その前にあなたの覚悟を。黒魔術から生まれたその本は残酷と血を好むわ。
Okay, so either that means that Ayumi has to start brandishing a knife, or you just go into the center of all that cruelty and blood. There's probably going to be a lot of it. With those parting words, Marguerite disappeared into the city, the sounds of her heels clacking softer and softer until they were no longer audible at all. Sachiko and I could do nothing but see her off. Oh, you could have got her phone number. The entire nation was now plagued with entity walls and black silhouette-like spirits of the dead. The entity walls were rapidly destroying schools, downtown bypasses, and other crucial traffic cornerstones, and even rescue shelters, creating countless new casualties by the minute. People were running in the streets, panicked and confused, and almost certainly not much longer for the Zerf. Meanwhile, in Miss Kuon's office, the black-suited agents watched in horror as each TV monitor displayed a feed from a different news network across the world, and the story was exactly the same in all of them.
会長、私たちはどうすればよいのですか?
Okay. Well, first things first. We've finally gotten this far with no internet issues. I hope it stays that way the entire night. Also, there's an open window, which is probably how she got here in the first place. Alright, we did it, guys! Finally.
力を貸して。
Okay, well, I wasn't really joking about that knife. It's a good thing you're actually taking it. And from the mirrored dresser sat Hinoe's zodiac dagger. I gripped it in terror, closed my eyes, and started shaking.
なんとしてもブックオブシャドウズを体の外に出して支配なさい。黒魔術から生まれたその本は残酷と血を好むわ。
Well, I wouldn't recommend carving it out of your body, but I think she did say that it will naturally, whatever the hell that means, appear. So don't do anything rash. But I couldn't go through with it. I was too scared of death, too scared of the pain. No, yeah, please don't. Now's not a good time. The face that reflected back at me in the mirror was twisted with fear. I didn't even recognize myself. But I could see in those eyes all the weight that had been put on my shoulders, all the responsibility I've been forced to bear.
臆病で矮小で弱くてこんな自分さえいなければここで決別するのよ。
My mind was made up. I lifted the dagger again, only to bring it halfway to its destination before halting its descent once more. No matter how determined I was, no matter how strong my conviction, this was literally suicide. I knew what had to be done, but knowing and accepting are two different things. I began crying like a baby. It was the most afraid I'd ever been in my entire life, and almost certainly the most afraid I'd ever would be. At this point, the only way I'd be able to go through with it was to clear my mind and let my arms make the motions automatically. And before I knew it, that's exactly what I did. Well, wasn't quite expecting this when I grabbed the knife. It's most likely because I wasn't thinking about it, or anything else for that matter, that the dagger found absolutely no resistance. It was like applying excess force to slice a cake. For a very brief moment, I felt nothing, but then the convulsion started, first in my abdomen, then quickly spreading up to the rest of my body. My abdomen was now spasming, whatever, and constricting involuntarily. And the rest of me wasn't faring much better. My entire body was in total chaos. The extent of the agony I felt that moment was absolutely impossible to convey. It was all encompassing. I was utterly incapable of focusing on anything else. My lower body was spewing bright red blood, thick, black blood, and an unknown yellow substance, all of which were blending together into a slurry that was, at its core, my life essence. This is not the way I wanted it to go, Ayumi. This went far beyond anything I could have imagined. The sheer shock of it rendered my mind a jumble that I simply could not untangle. I knew there was a reason I'd done this to myself, something I absolutely had to do, and it was crucial. But regaining enough cognitive function to do it would be a challenge. My head was swimming as I tried, beyond all reasonable measure, to hang on to consciousness just long enough to complete the task at hand. I could still see my face in the mirror, but only just as the blood that had been spurting from my abdomen had largely glazed it over. It was a truly frightful sight, comparable to, if not more disturbing than anything I'd ever seen in Heavenly Host. I felt feeble, helpless, and the face in the mirror
New data!
was smiling at me for it?
お前には無理だ。
You know, where was Sachiko this entire time? You told me not to open the door. Did you think it was a good idea to stab my stomach? The jet black crows flew by outside the window, and in that moment, a fire sparked within me, feeling oddly resolute. I gripped a dagger, jutting out from my abdomen. And yanked it to the side with every last bit of strength I had left in me. The spray of blood gushing out... Oh, boy. The spray of blood gushing out of me became almost exponentially more violent. Most surprisingly, it seemed like equal amounts of blood were rushing to my brain as well, and the effect was a feeling like the blood vessels in my head were on the verge of bursting. It just pops out. Okay, sure. But just as I felt like I was moments from my final blackout, I saw something. There, among my own entrails, on the ground, was a blood-drenched tome. It was the Book of Shadows, without question. Makes a fine pillow. My vision blurred from the tense loss of blood and even more intense pain. I fell forward, unable to maintain my semblance of balance any longer. And I landed right on it, with a loud thud. A warm and unpleasant splash. My face planted firmly into the book, which was steaming under the odd temperature. I can't imagine you actually lived through this. Okay, well, I guess weirder things have happened. Huh. Huh. Where's the blood? Was it a dream? Did this happen because... Okay, Sachiko, explain this to me. I'm gonna nudge you until you do. There, I saw a scar resembling the ones I'd almost died from during the blowback at Yoshie Shinozaki's house. Runic lettering and all, but that was it. The bleeding had stopped. In fact, there was no blood anywhere in the room, and on the floor in front of me sat the Book of Shadows. Not a copy, but the original. I slowly touched it, and from behind me, Sachiko spoke. Okay. Well, Ayumi, you did it. That took a lot of bravery and quite a bit of insanity, but you did it. She was staring at me with a docile, almost reverent look in her eyes. I picked up the book and looked at it, fear and awe running through my now clear head. It grumbled a bit, darting its eyes back and forth. Eventually, it seemed to settle in a specific direction, locking its gaze. Jeez, this thing talks. Does it talk? Does it just growl all day? Looking out the window, what? Why? Oh shit! Okay, hi.
世界はもう終わりました。
世界はもう終わりました。お父さん、お母さん。
New data!
Oh, Kryptonic, thanks for following. Hi, Dad.
世界はもう終わりました。
Hi, Mom.
世界はもう終わりました。
Okay, I think you need like a little help here. Okay, all right.
お母さん。
What was the Japanese again? 世界も終わりました。Yeah, we'll go with that. You guys want some TV? Okay, I'll turn on TV for you. TV doesn't work. Pay the damn bills. Okay, fine, hang on. Out of curiosity, do you still have a stamina bar in the real world? I mean, you just cut yourself, so yeah, exactly, that's what I thought. Alright, one quick moment, I'll be right back.